war of attrition that continues to rage on without an end in sight. It's now 6 months since fighting broke out in the neighboring South Sudan, pitting fighters loyal to President Salva Kiir against renegade fighters under the command of Dr. Riek Machar. What was largely a political disagreement within the SPLM Politburo has since then turned into an ethnic conflict. However, as the IGAD leaders continue to search for a peaceful solution in the Ethiopian capital of Addis Ababa, security experts fear that the issue over the country's oil wealth will continue to fuel the conflict.
The politics of the oil is going to complicate further that situation. So it is very important that this conflict is resolved faster before it becomes a jigsaw which will not be easy to solve.
There is a problem that neighboring countries look at South Sudan as a very rich country, just like Congo, and they might not be very comfortable to see it stable. They feel that they have a stake. They contributed to South Sudan achieving independence, therefore they can reap the benefits.
Highly placed sources reveal that for the first time, Khartoum and Juba, strange bedfellows, recently issued a warning to Riek.
The recent week, as you saw Machar in Kenya, he was under intense pressure from Khartoum and China, who have told him if he dares go to Faluj and Renk and close the remaining oil fields, then it's an open invitation for them to come in.
China, which barely meddles in internal politics of African countries, has since then adopted a proactive stance and aggressive policy to protect its own interests.
It's deploying a combat-ready, or about 800 men or so, really combat-ready, never done before. Why South Sudan? Oil interest.
Since the conflict began, oil production, especially in the flashpoint towns of Bentiu and Malakal, has sharply dropped to 30%. China, which was getting 5% of its oil from the war-wracked country, is now getting only about 1.5%. The state-farm China National Petroleum Corp has a 40% stake in a joint venture to develop other oil fields in South Sudan. Khartoum, whose economy is in a tailspin, gets 60% of its budget from oil fields in South Sudan, while the cash-strapped government of Salva Kiir gets 90% of its revenue from the oil fields. Yet amongst Machar's community, there is anger that money from the oil wells in their cradleland is being used to buy weapons to kill the Nuer. The United States, which recently engaged shuttle diplomacy and is one of the biggest donors to South Sudan, is not happy with Kiir for giving China the upper hand to exploit the oil wells.
America, Britain, and Norway, the Troika, the friends of IGAD, have walked toe by toe, moved together with people of South Sudan and the region to bring about peace, the comprehensive peace agreement, and also to bring about the independence of South Sudan. Unfortunately for them, when South Sudan got its independence, it immediately looked into China. It has given China all the contracts.
Whereas there's a scramble for oil wealth, there's fear that a much bigger crisis could be underway. Experts opine that Uganda's troops' presence near the oil fields could be an open invitation to Khartoum into the conflict.
This conflict is quickly transforming into a much bigger crisis than what began within the SPLM, than what began as Nuer Dinka. Now, Asmara, that is Eritrea, versus Addis Ababa, the old rivalry again is coming back.
The issue about South Sudan is the way we have gone in, and if we're going in without analyzing who the major actors into the South Sudan saga, that there are so many powerful countries which have anchored on a religion, 2 ethnicity, 3 oil, to dismember that country.
An arms race is underway in the Great Lakes region, and security experts fear that unless this crisis is quickly resolved, South Sudan could become the theater of a regional conflict as the country is hemmed in by belligerents. Emmanuel Mutaizibwa, NTV Weekend Edition.